We know that we came to be over billions of years of evolution, and we have seen how we came to be aware of ourselves and our place in the universe through consciousness. By their nature, our minds are incredible, meaning-making machines, and asking why and how has helped us become the most powerful species on the planet. We have evolved the social skills of emotion-based bonding, cooperation and mutual aid, sympathy and empathy. We have unselfish concern for the welfare of others. There is conflict resolution and peacemaking, deception and deception detection, and there's also morality and a strong sense of what is right and wrong. This, combined with the development of language, enables us to live successfully in cooperative groups and pass on know-how from one generation to the next. It was in these early generations the question, "Why are we here?" was first asked, and our minds went to work. I would like to consider three overlapping but separate ideas. Firstly, religion, then spirituality, and finally, God. Firstly, I would like to make it very clear that religion is a man-made phenomena. It involves people communicating with unseen powers in the privacy of their own head and passing these experiences on to other people through verbal communication, stories, or the written word. Now, these communications may be genuine. They may be a mind malfunction like a seizure, imagined or deliberately invented for social or political gain. Either way, there is no evidence at all that these communications actually happened. People simply choose to believe in them, and the stories continue to be passed on from generation to generation. So how can this be? I would like to give the example of Christianity here, as it is very well researched. Go back to the very beginning of the Christian faith. We find that the only written words on the subject came from Paul, some years after the time of Jesus. Yes, he tells the story of Jesus Christ, but as a mythical, non-earthly being, and only covers a very small part of the story. It is only some years later do the main elements of the story build up through the Gospels. These stories are all almost exact copies of the prevailing creation and religious stories around at the time. There are similarities with many existing deities. There really is nothing new in the stories at all. We must bear in mind that these were ordinary people that lived many years after the time of Christ. What they came up with was from their own heads. These and other stories were then brought together in the 15th and 16th centuries to make the Bible, and there are many people who believe in it today with a fanatical zeal. A successful religion is one that gives answers to meaning and makes us feel special. It takes away the fear of death and admires and rewards the blind act of faith. It must also promise us reuniting with lost loved ones, helps and supports the prevailing economic and political structures, and pass simply on from generation to generation.
And everybody says, Amen.
It must have a system for cultural adaptation and be able to spread through a population better than its rivals.
Hey, we want to welcome all of you that are visiting here with us today. If you're here for the very first time, we have a packet of information
Yes,
that we want to give to you.
it looks like there is natural selection, even at work with religion. It appears that when the message is just right, this causes some minds to make an emotional leap. The simple act of believing feels right and produces a strong sense of well-being, protection, inclusion, power and control, even if all the rational or reasoning seems wrong. There is evidence that suggests that religion causes contentment and true happiness, and once caught up in its beauty and majesty, enhances all aspects of the believer's life. This, however, does not make it true. In fact, it appears that man has invented and evolved belief systems that deliberately hijack the very strong emotional centers of the brain. We use emotive symbols, prayer and chanting, awe-inspiring buildings, meditation, storytelling, and inclusive social group activities, particularly aimed at the young.
As I start with the Bible, I believe the Bible's a history book, and when I put on those glasses, I look at the evidence and I believe I can consistently interpret it.
All of these deepen the emotional neural pathways over time, so they become familiar and real, and we cannot accept anything else.